think I heard him suplex something.
Alright, folks, so we're back for another one of our Monday discussion things.
Monday Muttering.
Hopefully you're all doing better than we have been lately. I genuinely hope so.
A tongue twister.
Yeah, normally I don't have trouble with shit like that, but migraines are a bitch.
Yeah.
But that being said, I will let you go ahead and introduce the topic before we get into it, and why we decided to discuss it also.
Oh, the hows and whys. Just opening up the shop doors, huh? Alright, well, welcome everyone to Monday Mutterings. And today's topic will be a really basic one that touches most people who do any degree of recording on YouTube. And that is the dislike button. And the reason why we decided to touch on this topic was because Susan... never mind. Because YouTube a while ago removed this, and I'm pretty sure most people know this, but it was an actually very useful tool for most people who actually make content, because you could easily know when you were doing something that your audience wasn't disliking.
Yeah, exactly.
Or didn't like. You got better feedback and could respond better. So we're going to talk about that a little bit, and the genuine use of having something.
And let's also include the real reasoning it was removed and how disingenuous that was as part of it.
Well, it'd be part of the discussion, but anybody with a brain knows it was removed to protect opinions that Susan wanted to promote. Air quote, she wanted to make it where people who had opinions that aligned with what Google wanted, and more importantly,
corporations that sponsored anything,
that they wouldn't have to deal with people telling them bad, nasty things like pushing a button that says they didn't like the content because they're fragile, I guess. But that is part of the whole experience, as any of you could probably tell.
Oh yeah.
But with that covered, should we move into, especially since you run a channel, Farv?
This was your idea, though, so I want you to kind of have a good say in it, because I hadn't even really considered it up until you mentioned it again.
Well, as a general rule, I think it's a good idea, since you run a channel, that you're able to at least throw in why you think it's a useful tool to have.
Which I think I did earlier, as did you.
Yeah.
And honestly, that being said, honestly, I was more bothered by the disingenuousness of the whole thing, in all honesty. Yes, it's annoying that the tool is gone, but I was more annoyed by the reason that it was, and all the bullshit platitudes they tried to use to cover it up.
Well, hiding behind it makes people feel bad.
Yeah, this whole continuous stupid emotional argument bullshit that has no place in business.
Well, let's see. At the end of the day, I think one of the big things I can say is this. Having some ability for people to have a negative response to something can actually have a lot of positive effects.
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
As a general rule, the removal of that has actually done a lot of damage to people's ability to simply respond to their audiences, to know what they're doing right, what they're doing wrong. When all you can get is a, air quote, positive response, then you'll never be sure when you do something that people don't like.
Keep talking. I gotta take a minute to check a technical issue.
So that I think is one of the big things, because there's a great deal of value in what do they used to call it? uh, constructive criticism.
Yeah. That's still what it's called. It's just people don't like to discuss it in certain circles.
Well, it's one of those issues that I think comes down to if you've taken a few lumps throughout your life, you've done things and failed.
Yeah.
In general, you're going to be a person that values the negative criticism more than people who haven't really been used
ever
to
had to deal with it or have been sheltered.
Now,
especially those who have been sheltered.
I'm not going to attack anyone on it. I'm just going to say that there are plenty of people who have not had the chance to develop in quite the same way as a lot of other people. So I think it does rob people of a lot of what could be very useful and positive.
Yeah, that's the way to put it.
Tools, effectively. And I think that this is one of those things that in a time there will be competition that is going to simply take advantage of it, and it will get a lot of positive response because, let's face it, if you are someone who actually makes any content, you're going to be in a situation where you're going to want to go to places, especially if they pick up Steam, that give you more control and awareness of what you're dealing with.
And it's like, I've got that thing with Rumble. I tried with Odyssey, but honestly, the way Odyssey's system works, it just isn't, like, it doesn't help me. You know what I mean? Because it's got that weird currency thing you have to do to get more exposure, and I don't have enough views to push that. I can't get, like, any kind of support there. It's just the way the site's designed. I honestly feel like it was meant for people who already had more of a built-in audience to benefit from it. So that in itself is kind of an issue with how it's designed. Rumble's all fine and good, but it doesn't have the same kind of steam yet.
No. And in time, hopefully, it develops more.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Because I think, to a large extent, they're not too bad. But, yeah. Again, it just comes down to one of those things where, as far as I'm concerned, they have actually kind of hampered their ability to respond to things.
Yeah.
And have actually done more damage to, well, their creators. Now, there's a bunch of reasons why they would do it. One, corporations do not want to hear from little people.
They don't want to. Yeah, they don't want to see any of the criticism. It's the same issue, thin-skinned issue we've seen with Disney and Marvel. They just want to quiet dissenters. They don't want to hear from them. Same with Wizards of the Coast, trying to shut everybody up, like we talked about before. Yeah. You know, they don't want to hear anything. They just want you to consume product. Well, people are fucking, by and large, getting sick of consuming fucking product. So it's just another indicator of like how soft-skinned these corporations and their investors are when Wojcicki felt the need to fucking like silence people's ability to dislike things.
Well, there's a bunch of reasons for it.
But at the same time, it hurts normal content creators because it's impossible for them, without actually doing surveys and shit, to figure out what their viewers do and don't like.
Well, yeah. So I think it's in a great deal of actual harm to people, but I think that's just part of the design. It's, you don't have to service as many ads if less people are successful.
Yeah. Well, and let's be real, another part of it was that they would rather rely on the corporate ad fucking revenue than monetize creators, because that meant they had to pay out money.
Yeah. To a large extent, I think it's done massive degrees of, well, damage to a lot of the community out there.
I actually
guess is one way
agree.
to put it. Because it's kind of like your dad telling you stink at something. It hurts, but at the same time, when you get older, you're like, man, that was really dumb. So it does have a lot of intrinsic value in that regard.
Agreed.
It's just it doesn't feel like it at the time.
No, a lot of times you don't recognize something's usefulness until you're not able to deal with it anymore. That may be a bit on the nose for me right now, but it still stands to reason.
Well, that's kind of human nature. You learn from experience, and one of those experiences just happens to be the negative. And the more people kind of just hide from it, the worse it gets in a lot of regards.
Agreed. And it doesn't help with discourse or growth in not just with creators but with audiences.
Well, other people.
There's a massive level,
negative response.
Well, yeah, but I'm talking about like the dislike thing. It really does lessen the amount of interaction. Yeah, giving everybody access to the community tab now is nice, but it's not as immediate or as easy to recognize as just a like or dislike button. And yeah, I use the community tab, but it's easier to go to your video and see that it's got a crap ton of fucking dislikes and go, oh shit. Maybe I better not do that shit again.
Maybe I need to think about what I'm doing.
Yeah. And then, because then you gotta do, like, self-reflections. Like, was it something I played? Was it something I said? Was something wrong with the video quality? It gives you time to, like, think about what the fuck caused this.
Yeah. I think that, to a large extent, is one of those situations where they have actually made it a lot harder for people to actually do anything useful.
Yeah.
And I think, that is just part of what they intended.
And, we're hardly the first to talk about this. This got ranted about by plenty of people when it first happened. But it's something I've seen kind of fall to the wayside, obviously, because it's been a while. But it still needs to be discussed because just not only the implications, but the effects are still a problem.
No, nothing's changed.
Yeah, exactly.
If anything, it's remained a problem, and that's ridiculous. You'd think after this amount of time that it would spur something, but I think it comes down to you're dealing with a company that doesn't care about the channels, that really should be changing some things up.
Well, Alphabet,
and they're just not.
Alphabet doesn't give a shit about small creators. Let's be real. Alphabet doesn't really give a shit about big creators like Markiplier or PewDiePie or any of those fucking people. They just want the corporate money. Because the problem is with big guys like Mark and Pewds, they still gotta pay them.
Yeah.
So they just want those corporate sponsorship dollars that they don't have to pay back. And it's fucking stupid and fucked up, but that's just where things are. And that decision was an obvious kind of like display of that shit.
Yeah, well, it's more to protect the big companies than it is anything to do with creators.
And I'm not even completely anti-corporate. Corporations have a place, even societally, but this shit is not helping. And it's just building more actual anti-corp sentiment on top of it, even to the corporations that aren't doing it.
Let me put it like this. I'm definitely not a pro-corporatist.
No.
But I am pro letting business act like it should.
Yes.
And the problem is that, YouTube doesn't have a proper competitor.
No.
Because
really.
if it did, what's the natural way things happen? Well, it's real simple. They fail and they go out of business.
And we've had, potentials here and there. We have things that are sneaking up, but nothing that still has the same reach.
Nothing that's really grabbed anyone. And hey, who knows what the future holds? But I think one that a lot of people have missed, and it has done more to cause trouble for people is just that we don't have the mechanism anymore for people to go, I don't like this. For the person with the channel to go, oh my god, this is something that's not working.
Yeah, exactly.
I need to change what I'm doing, move on to something else, give something else a try. And
yeah, exactly. Now you gotta fucking either guess or set up exterior means of finding out.
And they did it in the name of protecting people, which is the last thing they actually did.
Yep. All it did was harm most of the people that it was ever gonna harm.
And they don't give one rat's about it because that was never the objective.
No. It was never about protecting creators. It was about protecting sponsors. Corporate fucking advertisers. It's why whenever Disney or Warner Brothers would pitch a bitch, they would immediately shut shit down. Even if it was completely unfounded. Yeah.
And I think that, to a large extent, is a lot of the problem. But, you know, I think that's kind of the point, is it's a stupid choice. And it actually did more harm than it would ever do in perceived good. And, hey, that's my thoughts on the matter. It's a bit short and sweet, but...
Yeah, well, this wasn't going to be a long one. You know, these are not always going to be 20, 30 minutes. Sometimes it's just a thing we want to get off our fucking, you know, our chests, or we just feel something that needs to be reminded or mentioned, or what the fuck ever.
It might be a little random, but it's usually just topics we think are important.
Yeah.
But, hey, do you have anything you want to add to it?
That's it for me for the close of this one, so unless you got some closing thoughts, we'll call this one a day.
Well, not all criticism is bad criticism. Sometimes it helps you actually build yourself up to be more successful, capable, and a better person. And that's it.
Alright, that'll be it for us for today. Hope you enjoy these little goofy ass discussions, and we'll see you again later.